Hello everyone, welcome back to Durbanites FPL. It's Game Week 29 review, Game Week 30 preview. We are down to the last 9 games of the season. So exciting, it's all happening. Let's kick it off as usual with the table. RoboKlopp still sitting high on top, 170 points ahead. Seems like no one's going to catch them. Zakia's making a spirited fight of it, so is Fatih. Let's see if anyone can get close. It is a very tight space. Now come the blanks, now come the doubles. All the chips are left up to play. Let's see if anyone can mount a credible challenge. In the meantime, Coconut Starin steadily moving up the table as well. A big gap now to jump up to 7th space, but the war between 8, 9 and 10 so close. As you can see, Ami is still holding on to that 10th spot. But now there are new challenges coming up. As you can see, Fatih FC moving up after a good week as well. But the biggest moves, I think, coming up there at the bottom. Here's our champion, currently reigning champion, Mubin overtaking our initial champion as well. So very tight fight between these two. Just 3 points between them, but a bit further above the table and about 200 plus points away from the main prize. Also, our surprise for this week, Ansu coming in with 99 points, just missing the Centurion target. But look at those big figures, spurred mostly by João Pedro's performance, as well as the great defenses coming out of Arsenal, Everton, etc. So fantastic moves up the table. Now, based on that, let's look at what the player selections look like. Antoine Semenyo, for the first time, someone has surpassed Erling Haaland to be in the top of the staples. So Antoine Semenyo, 75% of managers holding on to him. Erling Haaland starts slipping with the blanks and with this drop of form. His returns have not been anywhere close to what they were at the beginning of the season. Managers are going to start thinking about whether they need to start dropping him, whether he's actually going to bounce back at the end of the season. It's a lot of money to be held for someone who's not firing. But of course, the danger always is that if Erling Haaland starts firing, he can potentially change the entire league. Now, Gabriel Magalhaes is still holding on at 12 out of the 20 managers holding on to him, so he's still in there. But the differentiators for this week, Crescencio Somerville coming in, 2 out of 10 managers having him. Now he's injured, unfortunately, but a fantastic performance for him last week. Jurriën Timber coming in, look at the defenders in there. Jurriën Timber, James Tarkowski, Marcos Senesi, all of them putting up big numbers as well. Elliot Anderson getting played in a right attacking position now. He's starting to see returns after being played mostly in a very defensive role previously. He's only getting the DEFCON returns consistently. Now he has a chance to start attacking, and I think this might spark a revival for Nottingham Forest as well. And then João Pedro, owned by quite a few people as well. We thought that he might drop off, but last week he pulled off a stunner, 19 points. Great performance, and of course 8 of our managers able to score from that. Now, based on that, look at the hits and misses there. So stone walls and iron walls coming up. So for me, Azra, Didi, Sai, Fatih, Hassan, Mohammed Sadiq, and Squish, all of us picking up stone walls there with Gabriel in defense as well, and a mixture of Senesi, Hill, etc. Iron walls coming in for Suad, Fatih, Ami, Mobs, and Ansu. Usually spurred on by Tarkowski, Gabriel Timber combinations. Really doing well. And on the super striker front, of course, Zax, Fatih, Azra, Mobs, and Ansu, again, a lot of them buoyed by the performance of João Pedro. But one elite striker there, Hassan, 30 plus points from his forward line as well. Big hot benches as well. 4 of us sitting with plus 20 points, unfortunately on the bench, usually spurred on by, again, misplaced João Pedro on the bench as well, and not having enough faith in Elliot Anderson. So that leaves us with myself, Ami, Squish, and Umer with 20 plus points on the bench. Quite unlucky there. Now, based on that, let's look at what the best possible selection would have been for our teams. Petrovic gets the number 1 jersey just based on price, and Pickford has to take the bench. 5 strong at the back. Ballard from Sunderland, Gabriel and Timber making up the backline as well. Senesi and Tarkowski coming in with big points there as well. 4 in the midfield, Saka, Anderson, Somerville and Palmer. Putting Mo Salah on the bench, and João Pedro, the captain, 19 points, doubled up to 38, leaving Isidore and Solanke on the bench as well. Just a note to those that might also pick it up, David Raya should have been in the lineup, but unfortunately because of his 7 points and the rule of only having 3 players from each team maximum, we're not allowed to put him on, and therefore we could not include him because Gabriel, Timber, and Saka have outscored him, and so he has to sit this one out with 7 points. But with this team, you would have got 144 points, 170 off the bench, which is quite good. But look at that cost, 104.6. Mo Salah, Cole Palmer, Bukayo Saka on the team makes it a very, very expensive team indeed. Now, looking ahead to the matchups left, as you can see, we have another 9 game weeks, including a big blank coming up next week in game week 31, but also the potential of a double game week coming up for Manchester City and for Crystal Palace in either game week 33 or 36. So just keep an eye out on that one. Now, our call-outs for this week, they're very few. So Brentford on good form, taking on Wolves, even though Wolves themselves are on some good form. We think that Brentford will beat them out. Then you've got Fulham, who are looking really good to finish off the season strong. You've got Notts Forest, who are struggling with relegation currently, and Burnley, so good back-to-back games as well for a team that is on form. Liverpool to take on Spurs, and that's why we're putting them out. Spurs is currently in a lot of trouble, guys. Just losing game after game, injuries, a ton of injuries that we'll get to as well, has really impacted their season, and they have real danger now. And Liverpool need this win to stay in the European race. And then Man City got a good one against West Ham. Now, West Ham have been resurgent, but if Man City want to pose any bit of a title challenge, they have to go out for the win this week. In my opinion, a failure to win this week will probably leave Arsenal with the title at a canter. So, very few to choose from in terms of good fixtures. Of course, you can see there are other spatterings around if you want to take a chance. But in terms of tough fixtures coming up, Brighton got some tough fixtures ahead as well. Sunderland away this week, and then Liverpool to come up after that. Then Burnley, Spurs, Chelsea, Newcastle. Except for Burnley, the others should be a bit of a challenge for them. You've got Chelsea as well that have Newcastle, Everton, Man City, and Manchester United in the next 4. So again, games that they could win, but not easy in the least. Everton themselves have Arsenal, Chelsea, and Brentford in the next 3 before going to Liverpool. So that's a tough 4 coming up for that defense. And then, of course, Newcastle entertaining Chelsea before they go on to their derby against Sunderland. And then a few games where it's 50-50 for them. Their form hasn't been great. They are still in Europe as well. So there's a bit to play for, and their squad will be spread thin. Spurs themselves, guys, we're talking about it, currently just a point above relegation. Liverpool this week with a severely depleted squad. Then they've got Notts Forest, which is a straight shootout on the relegation battle. Then Sunderland, Brighton, before they take on Wolves in another relegation battle. But look at that end of the season run in. Aston Villa, Leeds, Chelsea, and Everton. Extremely difficult for Spurs at this moment in time. They really need to make a change, or they do face a potential of relegation in reality. And then the last call out is West Ham. West Ham again have been super resurgent, picking up points along the way. But at this moment in time, look at those games, 5 games as critical. They've also got Everton in there, they've also got Leeds in there, they've got Crystal Palace in there, and Wolves, who are fellow relegation contenders and have good form. So it's going to be a very tight battle for West Ham, but they did get reinforcements in January, and it is likely they will be able to succeed. But it will take a really massive and monumental effort by Nuno Espirito Santo and his boys. Now, moving ahead from this, guys, let's look at the lineups. So Roofs is out for Sunderland, unfortunately, and Allison is doubtful for Liverpool. So Mamadashvili might be the option you want to go for there. In terms of the picks, Donnarumma at City, Petrovic at Bournemouth, and Kelleher from Brentford are the options that we're going for. Looking at the defenders that are out, Levi Colwill still out for Chelsea for the entire season, but Cucurella is back, which is great. Schur still out for Newcastle, but Livramento is back, which is again awesome. Guardiola still out for City, Romero and Van der Ven out. Now Romero just coming back from suspension, guys, and then had a collision in the European game with João Palhinha, his own teammate. So a head-to-head collision, which has taken him and Palhinha out with the mandatory 10-day stop for a concussion, which is insane. And of course, Mickey Van de Ven having that red card in the last game is now suspended, so they are without their 2 frontline centre backs. Dogu still out for United. Pierre is unfortunately still out for Sunderland. Munoz might be doubtful for the game coming up for Crystal Palace, but still a good choice if you want to take the punt on him. And Matty Cash also still struggling with a bit of a knock for Aston Villa against United. In terms of the options, Anderson from Fulham, a good knock for him. So he's got a couple of good games coming up, and he has been a pretty steady defender. Mark Gahey is the option for Manchester City. Virgil van Dijk and Konate, again, pricing might price you out of one of the two, but against a Spurs team without the main two centre backs, Virgil van Dijk on corners is going to be dangerous and a chance for him to pick up a lot of points and potentially a clean sheet as well. Marcus Senesi and Hill, pretty much the same situation as Virgil and Konate. One is a lower price option, the other one a bit higher price, but also has more routes to goal. So there's an option for you. Nathan Collins from Brentford for the next couple at least. Nico Riley should get a start for Manchester City in place of Ryan Elnuri, who will probably play in the European game that's coming up midweek. And then we've got Chris Richards and Daniel Munoz from Crystal Palace to round that up for this week. In terms of the midfield, look at that Spurs lineup there. Madison still out, Kulusevski still out. He might only be back in April. Kudus is still out. Palhinha out with that concussion as well. Conor Gallagher is doubtful. They are a severely depleted side. Look at the youngsters coming to play against the Liverpool team that is chasing Europe. It's going to be a tough game for them this week. Merino still out at Arsenal, and Trossard's got a knock, so you might see Gabriel Martinelli getting a lot more minutes this week. Jack Grealish is out for the season, that's confirmed. Lewis Miley and Bruno Guimaraes still out for Newcastle, which might make it a bit of a tricky match for them this week against Chelsea. Yuri Tillman still out for Aston Villa, but they will be buoyed by John McGinn making it back into the team. Harry Wilson has a bit of a knock, but chances are that he will start the game, and if things are going well, might get subbed. But definitely he's going to come in for the start because Fulham want to make sure that they keep that pressure to stay up in the midfield. And Pedro Neto is suspended after the red card from last week, so unfortunately, well, the week before, but has been extended because of his unsportsmanlike conduct. So instead of one match, he has been suspended for 2 matches and is therefore not available. And then the other one that we're looking at here, guys, so we've got Semenyo for Manchester City and Shirky as the picks. Tavernier for Bournemouth, Soboslai and Wirtz for Liverpool, again against Tottenham this week. Bruno Fernandes for Manchester United, he's locked on for minutes and hopefully will be the creative playmaker this week. Sharda and Dango Otara from Brentford are the options if you want to choose between them. Diego Gomez from Brighton, even though Brighton are struggling currently, and they are getting the wins and results and draws along the way, and Gomez is a good route to goals and more points. Harry Wilson and Iwobi are the choices for Fulham. If you want to fancy a punt on Leeds, Anton Mistach and Aronson are your options. And then you've got, of course, Elliot Anderson and Nottingham Forest, like I say, being played a lot more attacking right now, and you're starting to see the returns come up from him. So it's an option to put him on the field. And then lastly, looking at the forwards, guys, Chris Wood is still out, Alexander Isak still recovering from his surgery, and Eddie Nketiah, but a lot of them, other strikers are back. So Jean-Philippe Mateta is back as well. Calvert-Lewin is doubtful for this match, and we have to bring you the sad news that Raul Jimenez unfortunately has lost his father in this past week, and therefore is doubtful, not sure whether he will make it back for the game or indeed be busy with his family. So at this moment in time, it is a doubt, but you can choose to play him as he might make it back in time for the game. Now, in terms of picks, Haaland is still there for now. The figures are not supporting him, but we know that he's a form player, and if he can start getting the goals, he might go crazy. So we're still recommending him. He's still the top striker, even though he has been blanking for many weeks. Igor Thiago for Brentford is always a good route to goals, penalty taker as well, and taking the set pieces. Dominic Solanke is probably the one spark in the Tottenham side. He's now got 5 goals in the last dozen or so matches, or half a dozen matches that he's played. He is a good goal scorer as well, and Liverpool defensively have been known to have some frailties, so as a chance for him to exploit it. Again, not sure whether Spurs will win this game, but there's an opportunity for him to score. Evanilson and Kruppi Jr. are pretty much also in the bucket for, let's say, a premier option in Evanilson and a cheaper backup option in Kruppi Jr. Right now, the two of them are also struggling for minutes with each other because none of them has been on fantastic form. Ugo Ekitike is the pick for Liverpool against Tottenham this week, so the chance for him to actually get a few goals against a very depleted Tottenham defense. Let's see how that goes. And Ben Sesko is still on good form even with the loss last week, so here's a chance for him to come in and score more goals. So that's our recommendation for this week. So with that, guys, that's all we have. The deadline is just under 3 hours away. Make sure that you have a look at your teams. Please account for the fact that you might need transfers to get out of a blank game week 31. Recommendation is that you can play a wild card in game week 32 or 34 to account for the double game weeks coming up from that point onwards, or you're looking at playing your free hit in game week 33 or 34 to cover that double as well. And of course, if there's a chance for a good double, you might want to play a triple captain on someone like Erling Haaland if Manchester City do end up having a double based on the FA Cup results as well. All right, so with that, that's all we have for now. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and leave a message to let us know whether you think Tottenham Hotspur will survive this season in the Premier League and whether Liverpool will be able to get into the European Champions League. So with that, let's leave it, and that's all for now.